Okay, everyone, good morning and welcome to Up and Moving. My name is Isaac and I'm joined here with
Noelle St. Pierre.
and so we have a new team member this morning. So I'm excited for you all to get to meet Noelle. She's going to be helping us out for the rest of the semester, and we'll see how long that goes. Hopefully long. But the goal here at Up and Moving is we want to provide live workouts that are recorded and archived for later use. We want to keep everybody in the surrounding area physically active. And what better way to hop on Zoom on a Saturday morning and have some accessible physical activity with minimal equipment to get us started for the rest of the day. So today, for a little bit about this workout, it's going to be a full body resistance workout with a little bit of, we have a little bit of a lengthen. We're going to have a nice stretch, a little bit of static and dynamic work. Then we're going to move into some full body resistance with minimal equipment. And then we'll cool down and then we'll set up for the rest of the day. So for the equipment, all we're going to need today is some sort of resistance, whether it's a few water bottles, some soup cans. I think Noelle's going to be using water bottles. I'm going to be grabbing, because we're at a university, we have an abundance of books. We're going to use a few textbooks that we can hold on to for some resistance. Even if you have detergent bottles or anything, something that has a handle is very nice as well. So think about that. A few pounds, maybe less than 5 will be plenty. Or if you even have dumbbells in your living room, that's great as well. And then the last thing, especially for our warm-up, is if you have some sort of a stick or a dowel. I have this nice heavy metal stick, so hopefully you probably don't have one of those in your nice living room, but something that you can use for an overhead stretch, whether that's a broomstick, a mop, a hockey stick, a golf club, or even if you have a towel around you that you can sort of straighten to make it a little rigid, just something that allows you to have a little bit more mobility and a stretch as we're going through our warm-up. So we'll give you a few seconds to get that straightened out. And then, yeah, this is a heavy metal stick. This is industrial here. We'll get the timer ready so I can keep track of how long you're stuck here with us. We'll give you a few seconds. And if we're ready, we'll get going here. We'll just begin with a nice little Y stretch. So I'm gonna make sure I don't hit Noelle here with this metal stick, but just grabbing the dowel and holding it above your head. Try to make a Y, like a YMCA. You have a nice base, your feet shoulder width apart. And there's no really limit on how wide you want to keep your hands, but we can, once you get to the top here, try to pull the bar apart. So we'll hold that for a few seconds. Then we'll come down, shake it all out. Then we'll come back up. We're going to go through this 2 more times. This is especially a good stretch if we've been sleeping. I don't know how long everyone's been awake for, but especially with the time change, it's been a week almost, and I still haven't really. 10 o'clock is feeling like 9 o'clock for me today. I'll say that. So I'll come back down, shake it all out. And we'll come up 1 more time. And as you go for this 3rd time, you might be able to have a little more flexibility in the back. So for instance, if you're able to get here, maybe now on our 3rd time, you're able to get right over your ears. Okay, and we'll come back down. Now for the next way to sort of take this a step further, this might be able to be done with wider hands, but we're going to try going behind our back now. So you can even start with your hands really close to each other. And as we go up back to that Y position, we're going to try to go behind our back. Even if you have to bend your elbows a little bit, we're just going to try to go all the way around us here. The wider your hands go, the easier it's going to be. So even just once again, starting off, Noelle's doing a great job with her hands close together. And then when it gets tougher, you can slide your hands farther towards the ends. And then you get in a position like this. This is really a nice way to, once we have the stick towards our butt or our hips, you can really have a nice stretch. If we spend a lot of time with our shoulders slouched forward at our desk or at our job during the day, this is a nice stretch to really have that proud posture, and we're stretching here. So we'll go through a few more times. And I'm getting a nice workout already because the stick's sort of heavy, not gonna lie. Noel's got the lighter plastic broomstick, and I got the industrial foundation of this room here. Go a few more times. I always like to do this stretch at the golf course before I play, especially with the long driver, which is your longest club in the bag. You can get a nice stretch. You feel it right in the front of your shoulders here as there's a sticky point right here where it's the toughest. Then you get down. Okay. So now holding on to our stick once again, we can just keep it at our waist, and we're just going to work on some rotations. Once again, we'll make sure we don't hit each other. And you can go as wide as you'd like, but just getting into a nice rotation, keeping your feet planted, or if you want your opposite toe to sort of come up, as Noel's showing there perfectly, just to get a little more mobility. This definitely helps with like our lumbar spine towards the bottom, towards our butt. So we'll go for a few more seconds here. Noel and I are in sync here. Looks like we've practiced. Okay, now what you can do for the last one with this stick, and then we'll put it away, is you can hold it right out in front of you. And this is a little bit of a hamstring stretch now. So we're gonna hold it out in front of us for support. We're gonna have a nice wide base with our feet, and we're just gonna rock from side to side. And so one leg is going to bend, and the one that we're keeping straight, we're going to rotate on our heel, sort of like a heel strike that we do with our hamstring stretch. And as I rotate that foot, keeping that leg really straight, we're getting a nice hamstring stretch. So this can be done without the stick, but it is nice since it's rigid. You can put some force into it, and you can rely on it for stability, and really just focus on getting a nice stretch in our hamstrings. Another one you could do is just a simple hamstring scoop, or a Frankenstein kick, which is a up and moving famous stretch. So go a few more times here. One more each side. Okay. Now we can put our sticks in a safe place. Perfect. So now you can just join us in the front here, and we're going to get into a little bit more of a dynamic stretch now. So we'll start moving into a nice, slow, simple march where we're going opposite knee to opposite, or opposite hand and opposite knee. Do this for about 30 seconds. And as you go here, you might be able to pick up the pace a little bit if you feel like it, or try to drive your knee up a little higher. And we'll go for about 5 more seconds. And then to finish off with in this pattern, we'll move into a knee hug, actually. So as I hike up one knee, we're just going to hug it towards us, hold that for a few seconds, come down, kick it out, grab our next one. You'll feel that nice in your hips as well. If your glutes are sore, you can feel that behind you as well. So I always like to shake it off, sort of, even if we're in the same spot, take a few mini steps and then jump right back into it. Make sure you have a counter or a couch or a chair around you if you need some stability or some support if you do trip. We'll go one more here, each leg. Okay, so now for another hip stretch, we're going to do some hip openers. So what happens here is I'm gonna hike my hip up once again, and then we're gonna rotate it outwards. So when I hike it out, show you from the side here, we're coming up, and then, oh, lost my balance. Come up and rotate it outwards. It doesn't need to be perfect or anything, but just a little bit of a outwards rotation. You can go opposite leg each time. And if you're like me, they might make a few noises when you do this. Oh, never mind, I jinxed you. That's your turn. We'll go 2 more each leg. Okay, now our last hip movement, we're gonna do some over-unders. So with this one, I'd like you to try to usually visualize there's a hurdle. If we're gonna jump over it like the Olympics, going this way, we're gonna be stepping underneath it. We'll go back under it. And then we step over it. I'm not tall enough to do it, but we can still imagine it. So once again, we can go underneath it. Act like we're doing like a limbo. And then you can step over it, which is very similar to the hip openers that we just did. So do that a few times. And I'm really blocking Noel here. Go a few more here. And there doesn't have to be any real pattern as long as you're doing a few over, a few under. Okay, now we're going to get into a little bit of an abbreviated jumping jack. So just stepping from side to side with our hands overhead. If you want to jump and leave your feet and do the regular jumping jack, that's fine too. But I like this one just to warm up our hands without really affecting our joints. We don't need to bounce around. Go here for about 10 more seconds. Three, two, one. Okay, now our last warm-up exercise is a little bit of a side shuffle. So we're just gonna go from side to side. However, I'd like you to try to just, if our hands are at our hips, just a slight little partial squat, just to get a little more quad activation. And we can just go side to side off the camera here. No matter how, based on the size of your living room, you can go 10 steps. If you're in a little area like Noel and I, you can just go a few. Just make sure you're going side to side. Keep a little mini partial squat to keep some activation going on here. 3, 2, 1. All right. So that, I think we should be warmed up now. So grab a drink of water or any sort of hydration that you have. And then, as we're waiting a few seconds here, we will get into describing our workout this morning. So to repeat what we were discussing, it's going to be a little bit of a full body resistance workout. So Noel's going to have some water bottles, which are half a liter, so maybe 500 grams. So not too much weight, maybe half a pound. But yeah, it'll be about half a pound. Gotta go from metric to imperial, but so half a pound. I have a kinesiology and a human physiology textbook, so probably about 1 pound or 2 pounds worth of knowledge in my hands. Any sort of resistance that you have will be great. We're gonna be doing an upper body, a lower body, and then our arms are upper body, but then we'll do strictly an arm specific exercise. So our first one is going to be a shoulder press. So once you have the resistance in your hand, you can do this in the seated position or the standing position. So if you'd like to grab a seat on the chair or the couch, that's fine too. What we're going to do here is have our feet shoulder width apart. We can curl the weights safely into almost like a W position, or you can have your elbows in line with your knees. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to be pressing to the sky and coming nice and slowly down. So we go up and down. And then if you do have like a water bottle like Noel, as you can maybe hear, based on how our audio is, there's a little bit of swishing. So one thing I like with that is to keep a nice controlled rep. It's going to be impossible, but try to keep the swishing to a minimal. Try to keep it as quiet as possible. So you're really focusing on going up nice and smooth and then coming down. So you're always in control. So you won't hear any rustling of the pages from me here. And then our next exercise, so that's our upper body one. Then we're going to move into a lunge. So this is a single leg lower body exercise. What you're going to do here is if you don't feel like using resistance, you can start off by just using your body weight. What we're going to do is if we're standing here with our feet beside each other, I'm going to take a step. And then Noel's doing a great view from the side. We're going to come straight down and up. So one way to make this a little bit easier is to go into just a partial squat. You don't have to go all the way down. Your knee doesn't have to touch the ground regardless. But even if you're going in like a half range of motion, that's perfect. If you have a chair beside you or a counter, you can hold on to that for a little more stability. And then one way to make it more difficult is I'm going to start here with my feet beside each other once again, and I'm going to go into a lunge and then come back to the starting position and take a step every time. So that makes it more difficult. I'd recommend getting in a safe position. And then once we're set here, then you can just come down and up, ideally with your hands towards the side of a couch or a chair, or at least a wall. So that's our second one. Then our last exercise for our arm exercise, we're going to focus on our triceps first. So the back of our arms, and we're going to do a tricep kickback or like a ski exercise. So I'm going to hold these books. First of all, I have my weights at my side. I can bend at the hips a little bit. I'm going to get them in this position like I'm at the top of a curl. And I'm going to come down and straighten my arms so they're in line with like my spine angle. So try your best to straighten your arm as much as you can. Really try to squeeze it in the back of your arm. And then once again, just like if you do have water bottles, try to make them as quiet as you can as you come up and down. It's impossible, but at least try to think about it, right? So we're going to do each exercise for 30 seconds. If you're not comfortable with a kickback also, if you want to have a little more of a challenge, this one does potentially strain your shoulders, but doing a tricep dip on the coffee table or the counter. So walking out like this and then coming straight down and straight up. That's another variation. However, I'm not the biggest fan if you have painful shoulders. It's not the, but if you like, here's another option for you. So if we're ready, enough of me talking, we'll get ready here to start for 30 seconds with our shoulder press in 3, 2, 1, and here we go. So get as many reps as you possibly can with a nice controlled pace. We got 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, now we can go straight into our lunge. So we'll go about 20 seconds per leg here. So I'm going to step out. I'm going to start with my left leg first. We'll get set, and then we'll come down and up. If a single leg exercise is too much of a, if you're not comfortable with it, you could always go into a regular body weight squat for this. 3, 2, 1, and go ahead and switch now. So the leg that's in the front is going to be the one that we're working. So my right leg's in front of me. Noelle's left leg is in front of her. Three, 2, 1. Okay, now we can move straight into our tricep exercise. So this is when we get our arms nice and big. So we bend at the hips. We get into our bicep curl here and then go straight back. Really straighten those arms. Three, 2, 1. All right. Good job. Take a break. I made it impossible with you with the swishing noises, but it's something to think about, right? Especially using household equipment. The dumbbells don't make noise unless it's a shake weight, I guess, but something to think about when we control our repetitions. We want to go nice and slow and be controlled. So we want to decrease our risk of injury, right? So give it a few seconds to take a break if you need to go check on your pet or just watch TV for 20 seconds. And as you're thinking here, if any of those exercises were too easy or too difficult, you can think about how you could modify those, whether that's decreasing the weight, going no weight completely, or maybe adding a book with an extra chapter in it to get a little heavier, right? So give it about 10 more seconds here. Then we'll get set for our next set. We get set for our next set. And if we're ready, we'll get going here for our shoulder press in 3, 2, 1, and here we go. If you're looking for an extra challenge, you can even come down into a squat and press up. We do that on here sometimes. Three, 2, 1. All right, now we'll move into our lower body exercise. So I'm going to start with my left leg here, have that one in front of me, and we're going to come down and up. Go ahead and switch legs. Three, 2, 1. Okay, now we'll go straight into our arm exercises once again. So three, 2, 1, and break. It's great work. We got one more go around with these exercises, and then we got three new ones for you. We'll take a little quick break. And we'll get going again in about 15 seconds or so. Thought you were drinking out of your weights. Your weights are gonna get lighter.
I know, I think about
Yeah,
it.
if you're using water bottles for your resistance, don't if you drink it, it's gonna get lighter, right? So think about that wisely. If you're gonna drink from one, gotta drink from both. But if we're ready, we'll get started with our last go around with this group of exercises. So we'll get in our shoulder press formation and we'll start in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Ten more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, now we'll get into our lunge or our lower body exercise here. So for about 20 seconds, a leg once again. Start off with my left one, and we'll get into it. Here's a way that you can even hold on to a counter or a table beside you. You can even have resistance in one leg. 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and switch. Three, 2, 1. Okay. Now, last but not least, we'll finish off with another arm exercise here. And we'll go for 30 seconds. Try to get those arms nice and straight at the end here to really feel the back of your arms burning. Three, 2, 1. And we're done. Great job. So we made it through our first of 2 groups of exercises. So we'll take a much deserved break. And while you are relaxing, I'll get right into talking about them, at least so we don't take too much time, right? So we're going to follow a very similar path to the exercise selection here. We're going to have another upper body exercise, a lower body movement, and then an arm exercise, which would be on the other side of our arm. So we're going to get started with some lateral raises. We're going to stick to the theme of a shoulder exercise for our first one. Now it's going to be a little different. Instead of overhead pressing, we're going to be holding them at our sides like a T. So you might find that this gets a little more difficult. We're a little stronger with our arms bent, pushing this way, than having a straight T formation. So you might have to have a little bit less resistance. Or if you're a rock star, then keep going with it, right? But so once you think about that, the way this exercise starts, I'll show you from the side. Even having a slight bend in your arms, so it doesn't have to be like very rigid. Have a slight bend, you bend your knees a little bit, and we're just going to be pressing, or excuse me, raising our arms to the side to make a T. As you can see, Noel's doing a really good job bringing it down nice and slow. Perfect. Awesome. So one way to really think about it too, and I think I've touched on it before, is try your best thinking in your head to raise the weight. We're working our shoulder muscle, like right where our shoulder pads would be. So try to lift the weight up by contracting here without pulling with our hands. Try to really bring it up at this part of our body, if that makes sense. We need the mind muscle connection. We want to work the muscle that we're trying to see benefits with, okay? So really focus on contracting at our shoulder pads. Then we're going to move into our second one, which is a hip abduction. So you can grab the chair if you would like, Noel. There's 2 ways to do this one, with and without the chair. So Noel's going to be hidden behind the chair, but you'll see the exact same movement. We're going to have our hands at our hips, and it's a single leg exercise. We're just going to be moving our leg to the side. You're going to feel it right in the side of your glute or your butt muscle, as well as the front of your hip a little bit. So I'd say that going without the chair is a little more difficult since you don't have any balance. But then the way that Noel's doing it, is great as you're able to put some of your body weight into the chair. And as you can see, she has a lot more movement or mobility with her hip. I can get pretty high over there. I can't do that. But so we're gonna go about 20 seconds per leg, and then you'd go ahead and switch to the other side. Now, the last exercise, we're gonna work on the front of our arms here. So we're gonna do a bicep curl, but there's two different variations that you can do. And it's based on how we are holding our wrists. So there's two ways. I'll do the hammer curl if you want to do the other one.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you can check out each of our wrists, there's two different ways to do this. You can have a hammer variation, as if we're gonna hold a hammer, so have neutral wrists. We'll keep our elbows tucked. And then Noelle is doing more of the traditional way, or they're both very traditional, but with our wrists open this way, bringing the weight up that way. So they're both working our biceps, some a little bit different muscle activation, but we don't need to talk about that. Keep our elbows nice and tucked, and we'll come up and down for 30 seconds. So if we're ready, once again, we got our lateral raises, hip abductions, and some bicep curls. If we're ready, we'll get started in 3, 2, 1. Hey, here we go. Three, two, one. All right, now we'll move into moving our hips to the side for about 20 seconds per leg. Even if you don't have a chair in front of you like Noelle does, even if you have this counter in this lab, is nice to have something to hold on to. So for instance, if you're doing it in your kitchen, that's always something to hold on to. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm gonna turn around the other way, so at least I can hold on to the support here. Three, two, one. Okay. Now, last part of this group is we'll work our biceps. So we'll do a curl variation. Just make sure you keep your elbows tucked to your sides. We don't want to really bring our shoulders into this, as if you're flailing them like this, you might have increased risk of some impingement or some not good stuff. So keep going this way for 30 seconds. Three, two, one. All right. So good job. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll go through this 2 more times before we cool down. So I hope everyone has some fun activities planned for today. Whether you love the snow, you can get outside and you can do something in the snow, or if you're more of a, I'm sick of the snow, I'm gonna stay inside and read a book by the fire, for instance. There's a lot of different ways to have fun today. Bless you. Whether you're into the winter or not, we're getting close to the end, hopefully in March. I've had my fun with it, but I'm ready for golf season. If we're ready, we'll get into our second group here, or our second go around, excuse me. We'll start off with our lateral raises, starting in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. One thing to think about here as you're going through as well is we have our traps, or the top of our back muscles as well. To avoid using those, try to keep some separation between your shoulders and your ears. So you don't want to be hiking up, keep them down. And then I really focuses on using just your shoulders here instead of some of our other muscles that help us, like shrug, for instance. 3, 2, 1. Okay, now we'll get going into our leg exercise again. For about 20 seconds per leg. Three, two, one. Maybe we can switch legs. So this is when I kind of turn away from you, but. Three, two, one. Okay, and then last but not least, we'll finish off with a little bit of a arm workout here. For 30 seconds, we'll come up, keep those elbows tucked to your sides once again. You can also do this seated if you're sitting on your chair, even towards the end of it, so you can go in full range of motion. So you can come up. Three, two, one. Okay, great work. We got one more time to go around here. For the sake of time, then we gotta cool down. So then you can go do all your other activities in the day, right? So give it a few more seconds here to chill, and then we'll get right back into it. All right, we'll wait about 10 seconds. Three, two, one, and we'll get started here again with our shoulder lateral raises. So making that T letter. And we want to stop at a T, because if we do go into a Y, then you're sort of using completely different muscles. And so if we want to just focus on working our shoulder pad muscle here, we got to stop at a T. Go with 5 more seconds. These books and water bottles, I'm sure, are getting heavy. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Moving into our hip movement again for our last time. 20 seconds per leg. We'll get started with that. Three, two, one. We'll switch legs one last time. Three, two, one. Last but not least, finish off with our arm exercise. So 30 seconds, pick whatever variation you want. If you like your wrist this way or in the hammer formation, then you go ahead and pick that. Should be a little stronger in the hammer formation. There's a few reasons for that. I won't bore you with them. Sometimes my students tell me to stop talking a little bit because I get off on tangents when I'm excited with science. So I'll stop a little bit. You got 10 more seconds. Three, two, one. One last one. And we got it. Great job. Get a nice high five there. Well, we finished with our circuit, so now we'll get into a little bit of a cool down. So when you're ready, you can just come and join. Noel and I in the center of the room. We're gonna go back with just a nice little slow march. Let's go opposite knee to opposite hand, nice and slow. For the next few minutes or so, we're just gonna focus on bringing our breathing down. So focus on nice breaths in. Nice breaths out. And for a little bit of a stretch, we're gonna go ahead and do a quadricep stretch and reach towards the sky. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna bring my foot behind myself, bring the other hand up in the air just for a little bit of balance. And we'll go ahead and switch. So hold that for about 2 or 3 seconds if your balance allows you to. Then we'll go ahead and switch to the other one. We'll go 2 more times each leg. Okay, now our last stretch that we're gonna do, actually, no, we got 2 more. We're gonna finish, we'll do some hamstring scoops. So striking with our heel and then brushing the ground. Noel's doing a good job of going nice and slow. I'm really sore, so I'm going a little fast because it's a little painful. We'll go twice more each leg. Okay, now our last one, you can do this on the ground or sitting on a chair. Since Noel and I will come down on the ground here, but there's 2 different things that we can do here. The first one is just a knee hug towards our side. So if I cross my leg over, you can just pull your knee towards your chest. You should feel a nice stretch in the muscles that we did our lateral movement with. Or then another one that you can do to take it a step further, it's a little bit more difficult. It's called a figure 4. So from a bird's eye view, this would be a number 4. You can bend your knee and really pull your foot towards your chin. So this one's a little more of a extreme one. So pick your favorite one. We'll hold that first leg for about 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Then we'll go ahead and switch over to our other one. We'll hold this for about 10 more. And then that's it. 3, 2, 1. All right. So, well, everyone, thank you for joining this morning. Noel, thanks for joining. You got the first one out of the way. Continue to support. Thank you for your continued support. We will see you next Thursday at 9:30 in the morning. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. And we'll see you next time. Stay safe, take breaks from shoveling, or get somebody to plow it. All right. So have a great day, and we'll take care now.